Hello, and welcome to another Looking at Stuff video. And here's some stuff. It's paper, and the pages are blank. And I have a large collection of blank paper. I'm just kidding. So, this is a little different this time. I'm going to be showing a story, particularly about my interaction in 1999/2000 with the Freemasons. Now, if you watched TLC anytime from like 98 to 2002, or if you watch the American Heroes channel, somewhere between Ancient Aliens and Hitler's Secret Occult Research, you will probably encounter some nonsense about the Freemasons and how they work with the Illuminati to control the world or something. This is supposed to be an eye, and this is a pyramid. And I don't know, you have Bill Clinton here or something. I do not, as entertaining as this stuff is, I don't care for it. But I did have a really strange encounter with the Freemasons back here, and I would like to tell the story, and I shall be illustrating it as we go. This is an experiment. Hopefully you like it. If not, I have plenty more comic books to show. Like this one. All right, that's a teaser. Okay, so setting the stage. It's 1999 or 2000. Let's say 99. And the internet is a very different place. Run by Netscape Navigator. I forget what the icon looked like. Maybe there was a sailboat. I don't know. I think there was a moon. Netscape Navigator was the Firefox before there was Firefox. It was what everyone used to escape Internet Explorer back then. And websites were generally made in GeoCities. And GeoCities websites were pretty bad. You can still find, there were other sites that did similar things, like Angel Fire, and Angel Fire still exists. The pages, most of which have not been updated since 2000, are still there for you to view, same as Tripod. There was also Fortune City, which is where I had my homepage at the time, and that homepage was dedicated to X-Files, and it played the X-Files theme. Millennium, that was the other show from Chris Carter, and Al Roker, just because I thought there was something amusing about him at the time, and the occult. So I had a lot of interest in the occult back then. And when I say occult, I mean, so occult means something specific. Usually witchcraft and rituals and magic and stuff, but I'm using it in a bit more generic way to mean anything esoteric, any strange, fringe, So I was interested in UFOs and ghosts and Ouija boards and tarot and conspiracies. So pretty much this TLC 1999. Yeah, that's right. I still remember Alien Invasion Week from 1999, hosted by French Stewart. If you don't know who French Stewart is, I'm going to do a whole page on French. That is a joke. I'm not going to do a page on French Stewart. Anyway, so the GeoCities page, if you were lucky, you got frames, and then you had a bunch of text here, and everything you clicked here loaded a new page here, and those pages, but even if you didn't have frames, those pages were pretty much the same. You would have a banner and some atrocious animated GIFs, usually like 3D skeletons walking in place, and some text here, probably a bad poem. Then you would have a little animated GIF here of an email box telling people that they could email you, and then another one with a guest book telling people that they can sign your guest book, and then you probably have another banner down here telling people to vote for you on your web ring. And web rings were rings, and they connected various websites that had a shared interest, so you could have a web ring dedicated to a cult, right? And you put yourself on the web ring, and I forget exactly how it worked, but somehow you'd get status in there, and it would help direct traffic to your site. Oh, and then you probably had a counter of how many people had visited your website, usually about 2, and that was a website at the time, or that is not correct. GeoCities was a website. This was a home page. That's right. No one uses that term anymore. So the idea of the home page was rendered obsolete by blogs, and then MySpace, and then of course now we have Facebook and Twitter and such, and this whole idea of needing your own personal pages is a very 1999 idea. So where was I going with this? Well, it was back in this milieu that I was surfing the web in 99. I had a friend over, my friend Brian, and we were searching for occulty things, as was my inclination, but we were teenage boys. So you know what teen boys get up to? Mischief. That's right. Now you're probably thinking, surely the kind of mischief teen boys get up to is porn. That is a fair assumption, but things loaded really slow back then. Modems were 56K. That means one good picture of Gillian Anderson nude, and it was a fake to begin with, would take, a minute to load. So it was not worth it. So what kind of mischief did we get up to? We decided harassment. So who do we harass? Well, we went to chat rooms and harassed some people there, but one of the things we decided to harass was the Freemasons. So what we did is we went to several Freemason websites and looked at them, sent some weird emails, and signed their and looked at their guest books. And what we found was, for the guest book for the Freemason Lodge in my hometown, our local school principal had signed the guest book. So that is not so unusual, of course. Freemasons, basically a gentleman's club, men of some sort of stature in town, sometimes not, but men looking for fraternity and connection, use it for social climbing or just being a part of things. It's a fraternal order, that's what it is. And the conspiracy theories are blown way out of proportion. But, hear me out. So, we sent some emails. I actually got some back. One of those emails was from a guy named Norman Schultz. He was somewhere in the United States. I want to say Pennsylvania. I forget exactly, but he actually took the time. He was like a treasurer. He took the time to actually debate me seriously on some of the nonsense I said to him. And I actually looked him up. He has since passed away. And we ended on very bad terms because we argued. Some heated debating. Man, I wish I had a way to draw this like I drew the GeoCities page. This is artist representation of Norman when he would get one of my emails. So, but I did keep replying to him because I wanted to win the argument, or hoped he would just eventually get tired, and he didn't. He kept arguing, and in retrospect, I really appreciated that he took the time to actually talk to me about things and ideas. And I wish I would have gotten to have told him that before he passed away, that I actually appreciated that contact. But anyway, I did not. So, R.I.P. Norman. But what is much more interesting is, after all this happened, one day I was just listening to music on I'm drawing this right. I used to look at it enough. Napster. So back then, if you wanted an MP3, this cat had it. It was a file sharing program. Napster still exists. I don't know what it does anymore. But at the time, you would join it and give it a folder, and any MP3s you had in that folder would be available to download for other users who were on Napster. And you would have access to every MP3 they had. So you could go in there and search for some obscure music that you can't find in your hometown, like say Celtic Frost, and voila, someone actually has Juices Like Wine, which is a really good song by Celtic Frost. Most people would disagree with me who are hardcore fans, but there you go. And then, of course, someone could download it from you. But remember, I was on 56K, so it took 30 minutes to download that song. Good thing I liked it. So one day I was just downloading music on Napster and listening to it and dreaming big, like teen boys do. And suddenly I got an email from someone whose name, if I remember right, was Guillermo. And he claimed he lived in Montreal. I think I may have told you this before, but in Quebec, I live here. This looks like a fish or some sort of hand puppet. And Montreal is here. So this is 11 hours to drive or 17 by train. So it is a fair distance, but within my world, right? Like if he had said he was from New York, that's not in my world, even though it's really not that much further away. New York's down here. Or if he'd said he was from Maine, still not my world. But Montreal, I'd been there. That's where my grandmother was getting cancer treatment, right? So Montreal is a real place to me. Of course, New York is a real place. If you live in New York, you're not in the Matrix. Trust me. So, we're still looking at stuff here. See? All right. So, okay. So I'm listening to some music on Napster. And I get this email from Guillermo saying he wants my help getting into the Freemasons. Help. He wants my help. He claims to be a police officer in Montreal, and he wants my help getting into the Freemasons. Now, how did he get my email? Right? I wasn't sharing it. Even though we looked in the guest book to see my principal's name, I never actually signed any guest book. I argued with Norman. But would Norman have sent Guillermo to talk to me? And what for? Norman would be much better at helping Guillermo get into Montreal Masonic Lodge than I would. In fact, I would be the opposite of help. So I don't think he would do that, right? So it struck me as very weird. And also because this stuff had just happened, it made me think, okay, somehow they were able to trace that I was going to their websites, and they sent this guy to spy on me. They wanted to find out what my intentions were. So I decided, let's find out what he wants. So I sent back an email to him telling him I think I would be delighted to help him, but I think I just asked some generic questions about him. I told him that I don't actually live in Montreal, and asked him, this was a long time ago. This was 1999, remember, so I don't remember exactly what I said. But the gist of it was that I wouldn't be a lot of help because I live in a different city, and I wasn't sure how he got my contact info, but I'd be glad to offer him, encouragement or whatever. So he would send me updates by email every few months telling me how things were going in getting into the lodge in Montreal. Now, I don't know how difficult it is to get into a lodge, but probably doesn't take months or years. I think it was maybe a year or two down the road when I finally told him I lied. And that was because I had found Jesus. So I am not presently a religious man, but at the time, my Christian faith meant a great deal to me, so I went off to Scotland to join a monastery and called Pluscarden Abbey. Very, very beautiful place. And I just wanted to tie up all the loose ends of my life, make amends. So I told him the truth. And I said, I would still love to know and get updates on your progress, and hopefully things go well for you. And wouldn't you know it, never heard from him again. So, my theory remains that I rose some suspicions, and they wanted to know why I was harassing them, and so they sent this guy to fake me out, and then I tried faking him out, and they thought that, and they probably thought, this guy's lying to us, we gotta figure out why he's lying, and I thought, this guy's lying to me, I gotta figure out why he's lying to me, and it became a vicious circle, and so I just listened to more Napster, and everything was okay, but yeah, now, could it just be a massive coincidence? Yup, it could. It could just be that my email address was very similar to someone else's, and someone gave him this email address saying this guy can help you, and he never realized he had the wrong email address because of this part. And of course I lied because I was freaked out by this stuff, and also because I watched too much of this stuff with French Stewart, which had me thinking about things like this. So that's my Freemason story. Of course, I'll never know the truth, and I do not think the Freemasons are sinister or in any way like they were portrayed in conspiracy theories on the internet at the time, but it still had me pretty freaked out. So that's it. The end. Actually, I do have another, since it's only 23 minutes in, I have another creepy internet story. This one is actually creepier in its own way. So there was this, before Facebook, before MySpace, before AOL Instant Messenger, the best way, but after IRC, the best way to communicate with someone on the internet, besides email, was... I'm doing a terrible job. This thing. There you go. That is a planet, actually. Uranus. Zing. No, this is ICQ. Pronounced like I seek you. It was an Israeli company called Mirabilis. And they eventually sold to the Russians, and it still technically exists, and there was a server crash, so they lost, I think the mid-2000s, they lost most of the accounts, but there are some people who still have their accounts from the 90s on there, and I actually created my account on there in 97, I believe, through a school computer, but I definitely lost access to it around 2002 or so. Anyway, ICQ, you would have, it was a long, short window. Say this is your computer screen. It was a long, short window on the side. You'd have a little menu bar up here, and you'd have all of your contacts. And here you'd have a search thing, so you could search more people and add them to your contacts. And pretty much everybody was on ICQ in 99. And I even had James Randi, the magician, on my contacts briefly, until Randy said, please leave me alone. And I instantly removed him and said nothing in response, because when someone says leave me alone, you just do it. You don't say anything, is my philosophy. Show them that respect. Yeah. But and I only knew about Randy from, again, TLC. He would go on and debunk Uri Geller or whatever. So, but you could meet people from all over the world, and because they actually had a thing on there where you could search for people by interests. And I met this hot 38-year-old woman in Montreal who I actually visited at one point, and but nothing happened. I was only 17, and she was just a very nice lady. She helped me get from the airport to somewhere I needed to go. And I met another woman who I really liked and thought a lot of, and she ended up getting 10 years in prison just a few years ago. I don't even want to go into that. She was actually a concert pianist. But the one I want to talk about is Michael P. Gallagher. I'm not going to write his whole name. He was in Kansas, and I started talking to him because he had a degree in theology. And this was around the period where I was getting interested in religion. So I said, hey, I'll reach out to this guy and talk to him about religious stuff. And he was also retired military. He was a major, I think. So I thought, well, this is going to be an upstanding guy. Master's degree in theology and military service. So he started telling me he was an ambassador to Lithuania. And he even had like a certificate made up that he showed me. And he would send me pictures of himself with Lithuanians. Those are Lithuanians. And he would even have Lithuanians join group chats with us. One of them was named, I think, Vitatas, I think is how he pronounced it, or Witatas. And sometimes they would ask me to leave the chat so they could speak in private. And what he claimed to be doing with these young Lithuanian men that he was bringing over to the U.S. was helping them find work and visa stuff, right? All sounded pretty legit. Then one day, there were some weird things about him, maybe some red flags. At one point, when I was in the hospital for surgery, he was actually talking about having me visit. But anyway, one day he disappeared. His icon in ICQ just was gray. Gray means you're not online, and it was staying gray. He wasn't answering my messages. The messages would say, "Oh," every time one came in. And so I sent an email, because I had his email address too, and it was returned, sender not, because it wasn't a valid email address. So his email had been canceled. And that seemed pretty bad. I figured, oh, he did. But, yeah. That was not the case. As it happened, once I started searching for his name on Google, I found he had been arrested. Arrested for credit card fraud, which they could prove because his trailer, mobile home, was filled with stolen stuff that was bought. Well, it was bought with stolen credit cards. And he was also already on probation for a charge of aggravated sodomy. The Lithuanians were hackers he was bringing over to help steal credit cards. Crazy. Alright, now I gotta go, but I hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, and please tell me if you enjoyed this or not. I can go back to other stuff.